and to be here with this film about a young man from my town. My town is Malmö, and it's a nice town. We have people from all over the world, and people meet there, and they make love and they make babies. And one of them was actually then this Zlatan Ibrahimovic, born in Malmö, like me, the same hospital, and which makes us very proud. And of course, then he also played in our football team, which makes us even more proud. And yeah, and then it goes on. But I'm a documentary filmmaker since many years, and 15 years ago, me and my brother made another film about the football team of Malmö. And in that film, we focused on a young player called Zlatan. Nobody had met him ever. No journalist had interviewed him. So we cannot pick him because he was a good documentary film character. And then he was also a good football player, it showed. Anyway, so this is a film about a young man, or a young boy going to be a young man. It's a little journey, and so I mean it's a film. So enjoy it, cry and laugh whenever you want to, and after we can talk about the film. Hope you like it. Enjoy.
Posle projekcije molim vas da ostanete na radu.
Over the period of how many years, and maybe a little bit about it.
So we had done documentaries. I mean, I've done documentaries for many years, but then in the 1990s we made 2 films about the local team of Malmö, also for cinema. And in the second film, we knew that there was a conflict between old players and young players, and we selected one young player to represent that side of the conflict. And of course, when you do documentaries, you look for somebody who is a good documentary character. Of course, it's also good if he has to be as good so he can make it into the team, because if you have someone on the bench, it's not so interesting. So anyway, we picked Zlatan. And when we did that, he hadn't done one single interview. One of the first occasions is this, where he hasn't attended school. And that is December 1999. So it's before even this, he starts to play for the team. So it's really early. We were lucky. But that film we did then was featuring Zlatan, but in a different way. We had all this material about his father, about his problematic youth, but in one way we can say that we also had some ethical problems publishing that for such a young man. But then he is writing a book where he's telling his own story. So in one way, Zlatan himself, he unlocked material that we had, where he's talking about his father and his background. And of course, we've had this material in our basement for more than 15 years, knowing that one day we will have to do this film. But with documentaries, time is a very good friend. You can see that now when we meet Mido and Van der Meijden and all these old team players with him, that now when they have perspective of their own youth, they can be more reflective. They can talk about things in another way. So we can get a little bit behind and within. How is it to be a professional football player? How is the professional football world as a human being? Because it's not a very friendly world, and I think that's what we were also trying to get behind the propaganda of the football business, and to see this how they treat human beings in there. So well, and as you see, we put his time in Ajax as like the timeline of the project, and that was mainly because we had so good material from Malmö. In Malmö, we filmed him. I I mean, we were almost at every game with him for almost 2 years. So we met him a lot, and we have a lot of material that is not in the film. So, I mean, he was so used to us, and the big difference between us as documentary filmmaker and a normal journalist was that we didn't publish anything. So we just kept filming, but nothing came out until the film came out. So you build up a relation over time, and we were always there. And you can imagine this was in a time in football history where you actually we were with the team before the games, in the breaks, after the game. We came in together with the players. In one of the first scenes, I'm shooting with a little small camera. I'm actually sitting on the bench together with Zlatan. And that would never happen today. It's almost impossible. And I think it would be almost impossible to make a film like this today, because the access is not there any longer.
It became impossible for you to follow him that closely and to talk to him, because at one point, obviously, there were no interviews anymore with him or him in private situations.
Yeah, I mean, this film, is based on material we shot when he was playing in Malmö. So we followed him until he went to Ajax and he signed on. And I was down there twice, and I'll just visit him without filming. But all of the Dutch material is archive material that we've found. A lot of deep research for that. But of course, so we didn't keep filming him. I've been doing many other films, political films, and about different subject matters. But you can see that when he comes to Juventus, he's closing the door. It's over. So this really open and often very nice and sweet person suddenly hides away. And what he gives out is what he wants to give out. If one day he's friendly, the other day he's not. And because the media, of course, I totally understand that most of the media pressure is really strong. And the media is so much looking for conflicts. So they always tried, and he was so early painted as a troublemaker, so whenever he did anything, they also always made big headlines. So he decided to go away. But I mean, for us, we didn't want to keep filming after this. I mean, have you read his book? No, but it's a very interesting, actually very good book about a football player. But for us, the most important time was his time in Malmö as a young immigrant boy with a troubled family. I mean, it's there is always a lot of ethical lines to draw when you make films about real people. In a fiction movie, you can be freer. So it's a little bit about. But now we have actually Zlatan himself telling the story, and I think that's maybe the most important thing. Over the last 4 years or so, we've been talking to his agent all the time, informing his team that we are doing the film, and we are not seeking permission to do it, but we are informing them. And remember, we are independent filmmakers, and big brands these days, like Messi or Ronaldo, they commission films, and then they have some shoe company to pay for it. So they want to control the story. But independent filmmakers don't want to be controlled, because then we couldn't make this film. So our strategy in this process has been telling him we are going to make the film. We don't need Zlatan today because we already had him speaking. And then we said, okay, now we're meeting Capello, now we're meeting Benacker. So we've kept them updated. And when the film was ready, we sent it to them, and his agent loves the film and so on. But he is, as many of these guys, so much upset with, you know, to control his image, and if he wants to be a part of something, he wants to own it. So we have kind of almost like a silent agreement that we are doing the film, but they will not support it in an official way. And I think that's good. It's not a problem. I hope he likes it. I mean, he should. But at the same time, when people want to control their image, maybe they don't want to have the elbows, or maybe they don't want to have the old girlfriend that is not in the book. Maybe they want to bring things out. But most of the things that he would bring out would make the film not as good, and make him also look more boring, because a whole human being has dark side and light sides. So if you want to portray a person, you need to have all faces of his personality. But sometimes they wouldn't understand it themselves. They will try to control it in some way. It's a very complicated question. I mean, Zlatan has a very strong character, and that strong character has been creating a lot of problems for him through his life, in school, in relation to other people. But of course, on the other hand, it's also, he has a very strong belief in his own possibilities. So that's like a balance. But you can see, I think, I mean, in Sweden, it's been really strong on the movies in Sweden. And I think and a lot of children and young people love the film. And I think they do it because they can recognize something within Zlatan. He is this guy, a lot of young people have this, that nobody believes in them. I mean, you have to grow up, show something first. You're nothing today. I mean, a lot of young people hear that all over and over and over again. And Zlatan represents that really well. That he takes all that criticism all the time. You will never be anything. You know, people really try to say that, and it still happens, which is kind of strange. But he delivers anyway in the long run. But I think now when he's such a superstar, young people have no idea that he actually had these big problems in the first years of his career. That it wasn't that easy. So, but I can't really totally answer your question. We probably need a few beers to do that. Small town, and from where Zlatan lived and where I live, it's 7 minutes by bicycle, and maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes walking. It's not and sometimes in the storytelling of Zlatan, Rosengård is described like a big ghetto, but you should go there and look. It's quite nice. So I think the story with Zlatan, which is quite normal with most footballers, is that they are coming from quite poor families, and the football is almost their only option, and that you could go through a lot of superstars and you find the same kind of background. Of course, Zlatan adds on coming from a quite dysfunctional family, which of course has complicated his life a lot emotionally, and that also gives him this little secret. There is like a secret around him all the time. And I think maybe that's why we are so interested in him, because you can see that there is always more. We always want to know more about this man. And I think he has already as a little kid, he understood to protect the secrets of the family. And I think that's a pattern you can see in many families, but he represents that kind of facade really well, I think.
Okay, thank you very much. Nažalost, moramo da završimo zbog sledeće projekcije. Potpuno slučajno i neplanirano 2. juna prikazat ćemo još jedan film od istog reditelja, Cars vs. Bicycles, automobili protiv bicikala. Vrlo zanimljiv film, ovdje u Domu omladine Beograda, pa vas pozivam da dođete da pogledate i taj film. Thank you very much.